Why, hello, and welcome to Jacob's second scene of Rage Mage? I think. But yes. Welcome to another scene in 11 World of Darkness. A cross-venue scene. Between the ecstatic mage, Darcy Ellsworth, and the right and honourable Silverfang, Jacob Clay. Adrian to the nation! As Jacob's invited Darcy on a ride-along across New York to allow her a view from the perspective of the police rather than a junkie. You know what you did.
Talking to the wrong mage here.
And Darcy there's been some back and forth. She's probably had to arrange time with the. Probably had to email the, if not go to the station, email it. And arrange a time and date. Then Jacob would have been contacted and said, yeah, no, I know this person. There's a reason she's saying my name. A date and time would have been arranged. And that date and time is now, as Darcy is able to make her way to the police precinct in Lower Manhattan. Not Harlem. Harlem sucks. It's for scrubs and junkies like you.
I mean, she lives in Staten. But
That's
yeah,
not
she um going through her normal daily routine of waking up very late, taking her medication, falling back asleep a little, dozing, and finally getting up, realizing that she really has to get up despite her body just aching and hurting. She considers canceling, but it's not that bad. And hey, how often do you get a chance to ride in a police car, right? Especially for free.
How many crimes do you commit on a regular basis?
I mean, Darcy doesn't commit that many crimes.
So she does commit crimes then.
She's a respectable member of society.
With a
Mostly.
record, no doubt.
No. Well,
No.
I mean, most of it got erased when she turned 18 because that's when you become an adult and all your previous sins have been forgiven.
That's cute.
So she dresses up like probably a pair of very warm pants, a sweater, puts a lot of makeup on, and finally her winter jacket, including a shawl at this point, and she looks at her crutches, decides to take them along because she's pretty sure that she would not be able to make her way down without them. And she will let her new kind of shadow, well, she's getting paid for it, know that, aka Dallas, know that, I have an appointment at the police station. No, I did not commit any crimes. No, I'm not being investigated. I just have a meeting there with someone. And she doesn't know their lies. So they're not. And yeah, Dallas, she basically tells Dallas to take the afternoon off because she's pretty sure that being with like a police guy, she is in pretty safe hands. That's usually the case with the police.
Exactly. No rage and no hostility here. Nope.
No, no. And she will get one of the cars that the hotel owns, and the driver. Um, Not the limo, because no, no, she does not need to make such an entrance. So just kind of random black car, tinted windows though, and she'll slowly get in, like in the back, and will be driven over to the police station that was basically forwarded to her. Like, that's the address you need to be.
Yep.
Yeah, slowly gets out, and leaning on her crutches, will well, kind of walk in. She manages to get in, and we'll give Jacob's name at the reception. We'll say that she has an appointment with him, and will probably be told to sit and wait, which she will do. Although I kind of huddled up in her jacket, and actually probably got like coffee from the hotel that she's using to warm her hands with.
Yeah, there's actually a coffee machine in the station, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, and then there is like a very good hotel that actually has good coffee.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. What happens when she runs out of that coffee? Then the machine has a purpose. Hell Weaver. Um. Yeah. No. Jacob is just in the office filing some reports on the PC. Largely just digitally updating the digital records of his patrol log. But he receives a call from a very timid receptionist. And yeah, you will see Jacob straight out of one of the doors, uh, fairly close to reception, and straight on out. You see him clap his hands as he sees you.
Darcy will put on her game face and will smile, and will get up. Well, Officer Clay, how do you do? She will hold out her hand.
Hey there, Miss Ellsworth, how you doing? He'll shake her hand.
Hand feels cold. Like, not vampire cold, just cold.
Just a little cold, just a little chilly.
Jeez. I'm absolutely fine. How have you been?
Pretty good. Well, at least for a guy who's had his head stuck in some grim nonsense recently, but that's neither here nor there. Guy, you can make it.
Being a police officer must be hard work.
I like to think of it as a summer reward. Oh, I know this is formality. That's going to come across as a little bit awkward, but I am obligated legally to ask this. Do you have any weapons, pointy objects, anything that could cut, poke, or prod me?
I mean, I may have. She is kind of digging through her purse and finally gets out like a tiny can of pepper spray. This, but that's about it.
Fair enough.
Do I need to give it to you, or put it in a locker or just throw it away? Or can I put it back in my purse?
Oh, so you had to pick pepper spray, didn't you? The one thing which I don't know the legality on. God damn it. Pepper
I honestly
spray.
don't know it as well.
I think.
I can
What
make it
was the
like a
price
little
of?
horn, like one of those alarm horses with horns as well. Like that doesn't
It's
even do
probably
anything.
it's not like a knife. It's probably fine. Uh, Jacob will make the legally correct decision.
Ah, is pepper
We'll
spray
just
legal in?
Jacob will take hold of it for the moment, but if like in the scene you need it, Jacob will just
It is
use it on
legal
your
to
behalf.
carry defense
It's
spray in New
yeah,
York,
yeah,
but
yeah.
pepper
She'll be
spray
fine.
cannot legally be mailed to any city or county in New York. Pepper spray may only be used to defend yourself against an attacker. Each canister must have a label that declares it is for self-defense purposes only. There you go.
All right, yeah, I'll say that's legit. Even though legally I'm bumbling around right now. Yeah, Jay will just say, no, that's good.
Cool. And she'll put it back in her purse. Anything else?
No,
You need to search
only
me? Do I have to walk through like a metal detector or anything?
no.
Okay, fire.
There are a couple of rules. Don't get out of the vehicle unless told to do so. No talking to the witnesses
Witnesses.
or suspects. He would say witnesses slash suspects.
Oh, okay. Cool. Sure.
Largely legal technicalities. But yeah, no. Yeah, my car's just in the garage. I can walk you around, or you can just wait outside the front, whatever you prefer.
She looks like for brief seconds to her crutches, and then her stubbornness takes over. She's like, "No, I can walk along."
Good, glad to hear it. You actually get to see a little bit more that way, anyway. He'll, yeah. I mean, even though he's obviously kind of trying to play down or just straight up ignore the fact that she is on crutches. Um, he will open the door for her just because walking on crutches and opening doors is kind of
Annoying. Yeah.
super annoying.
She'll thank him each time he opens the door. You can tell that as they're walking further, she considerably slows down. Like over their walk, she gets slower. From time to time, you can see like a bit of a stubborn look, and she's like biting her teeth together to basically try and ignore the fact that this fucking hurts. Um, but she is not going to comment, and if he's not that, she doesn't look like she will tolerate much comment on it.
Jacob, kind of when she winces a little bit, does for a moment just go, "You all right?"
I'm fine.
Son?
Hmm?
And yeah, we'll just continue leading you along. He's just checking. That's all he's doing. He's just checking.
Yep, she will follow, and she'll look around, taking it all in. does her best to look like she's never seen this before, but I mean, she has seen the inside of a precinct before. So, yeah.
One second. Yeah, yeah, no, he meets you around, and one second, as I actually find a card I could be using. I could be that.
Yep. Well, in the case, I'll try to talk it together for a bit. She will. She'll look around and actually make some comments about like some stuff. Ask what it's for. Ask like other random questions that you would ask police. So, like, do you have to show your badge often? Do you actually are your guns actually loaded, or are there like rubber bullets in it? How often are you forced to use violence? Just stuff like that. She seems pretty interested.
Yeah,
Give or take
Jacob
this
answers.
the like. Sorry, go on.
He knows that he doesn't really have to show his badge off very often. Uh, there's been the odd instance where someone has impersonated a police officer, but usually when you come on with the blink, when you're riding in a car with blinky lights on, right behind someone, they usually pull over and don't really ask too many questions. It's fairly clear to most people, for the most part, who I would be. Guns are loaded.
Sorry, I'm making a lot of noise.
He says, the guns are loaded,
Huh. Okay.
not rubber bullets. Fully lethal. It's very rare that we have to use them, and it is always last resort.
Are you are you afraid of like having to use it and then realize that you're wrong on hindsight?
It is always something that is in the forefront of my mind.
Hmm.
Because when you pull the gun out and you decide to pull the trigger, you're in many ways deciding whether someone is living or dying.
Yeah.
And in an ideal situation, that is not my call to make at all. It has been extremely rare where I've had to wield lethal force. And he kind of thinks every case, it has been because I have been shot at first. I cannot think of an instance where I've had to shoot first. There are certain situations where that does happen. They are extremely limited and narrow in their scope and very well defined by the law.
So, are you pro or against death penalty? Actually,
Against
why?
multitude of ethical and practical reasons. Ethically, obviously, taking the life of someone is morally questionable. There are few, if any, instances where I would condone it. I'm not particularly a fan of the eye for an eye philosophy.
Hmm.
And the manner in which the death penalty is applied, I find to be cruel, personally. Practically, often people on death row end up serving life in jail and never actually, and it's often more expensive to house them. So the death penalty often, or death row rather, often doesn't even serve its purpose at all. And it just ends up costing the state more money than if it were just to house someone indefinitely for life. Because people on death row require very specific accommodations, and because of the very nature of death row itself, it requires a very specific and often expensive application. Well, not application, but setup.
I see.
The main bulk of the costs come from housing the individuals involved, the inmates, not necessarily the equipment and the setup itself, but it's all additive.
Interesting. And you say that the bulk of the costs are because of the inmates.
Yeah, it's often very
But if you
expensive to
would
house individuals on death row.
put them in like a lifelong sentence, you would still need to house that inmate, so that cost wouldn't change, right? Like food, clothing, entertainment materials, or as far as you can have them.
Individuals on death row are subject to very, very different conditions than inmates sentenced to life.
But isn't that because of their crime? So if you would change their sentence in lifelong, the crime and the individual wouldn't change, so they would still need those set of specific.
They would still need to be housed, yes, but okay, so the same individual, so let's say there's one individual, and in one scenario he's put to death, and in one scenario he's committed to life. In the scenario where he's committed to death, he is subject to very specific prison conditions. Very specific.
Mm-hmm.
These ultimately raise the cost of the of housing that person to the point where it is actually quite expensive. If that person was sentenced to life, they would be subject to much more different conditions than if they were committed to death row. Now, they've committed the same crime, but the cost is different.
I see.
It's mainly the living.
That means that it's not the inmates that cost the money, but it's still the material.
It's, yes.
Yeah.
It's the material involved in housing the inmate under very specific conditions due to the nature of putting someone on death row.
Yeah. No, I
That's the
understand.
practical side of it. There's a lot of different reasons why I'm not personally invested in it. But at the end of the day, it's not my call. I can vote, and that's about it. So it's not something I think too much about.
No, okay. Well, I mean, even if you can't really do anything about it, and you're just one of the voters, as you say it, I still think it is something that we all should need to think about it. Should the occasion arise? Now, luckily for you, it doesn't arise on a professional basis, like from day to day, but still, you are part of the legal system, and I think therefore you would need to be able to justify your opinion a bit more than maybe I would. But then again, who am I? I have no idea of laws. Most of them are just, yeah.
If I were a judge or a legislator, I'd be more inclined to agree with you. But I am an enforcer of the society's laws, not its interpreter or, well, creator in sent to the legislator. So
No, I agree. But still, because you are an enforcer of said law, and said law allows death penalties, you are more closely involved with them even in your day-to-day job than I am with my day-to-day job. I mean, in the end, you get you have inmates, I have guests, and yeah, like you make sure that the bad people are put behind bars, and I make sure that the good people get to enjoy themselves. So naturally, your profession would be closer related to death row, simply because you, yeah, like I said, you are an enforcer of that law. Where, like, honestly, I think if you would ask questions like this to either of us, I think you would be the logical choice for that. Where if they would ask questions about linen and or bed sheets or guest soaps or cocktails, you would go to me and not to you.
that's fair. That said, I would still recommend the best lawyer money can buy when it comes to these issues.
I would recommend not getting into a situation where you would be forced to have to deal with those situations or issues, whatever you would like to call
That's
it.
the wisest advice one could possibly give regarding lawyers. But yes,
Yeah.
he kind of shows you to his car. Is a Chevrolet Caprice.
Oh boy.
It's a yeah, bit faster than Krandik. He doesn't say that. I'm saying that because our voices are the same. It's a fairly one of the faster four-door police cars. It's not an interceptor class vehicle though.
Yeah. She'll look and kind of walk around it, and it's like, well, officer, where do you want me to sit?
Well, in the back, of course. So when I arrest someone, you can have a lovely chat with them in the front.
I mean, all I know, for all I know, you would have grabbed handcuffs and I would have to act like I would have been taken to, well, taken to justice. But she'll get in the front, just kind of like hides a sigh of relief when she's sitting down again.
1 minute.
Er?
Um, yeah, you sit in the vehicle. You're right in front of I believe it's called the MDT. Basically, the uh, the computers that police cars have.
Mm.
You're sitting right in front of that, but it's like it's obviously shifted towards Jacob, as obviously often he'll be in the driver's seat typing on it.
Yep, she'll just look interested, but she will not go like touchy-feely press button stuff. That does not sound like a very smart idea.
You don't want to turn the bleeding key lights on? Aw,
No.
sadness.
Darcy can be
Alright,
like
so
decent.
today's patrol is gonna be my standard. Just so you know.
Okay.
It's going to take us around East Village towards Greenwich Village, then upwards to Midtown, all the way around Upper West Side, on the edge of Central Park. Then we're going to be heading back down. We'll probably end up taking a lunch break around the Metropolitan Museum.
Okay.
And then we're going to head all the way back down towards Battery Park, and then all the way back up to the precinct. And that should be our day. We might get pulled off. It does happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon, particularly if there's a street chase.
Oh my god, I love that.
You'll get to see the blinky lights.
I shouldn't be excited about that, but I kind of am. She winks.
If there is any car better designed to engage in street chases, I do not know of it. He taps the wheel in praise of his delightful vehicle.
I mean, I have no real knowledge about cars. I normally just let, the guys with knowledge about it drive and like work on them and stuff like that. Luckily, I know this guy. He has a vehicle that's fast. But then again, he's like a car. He works in a car shop, so yeah.
Oh, this a friend or a husband? Sorry, I know you said he was a mechanic before.
Yeah.
Don't worry, any car too fast for this girl is gonna find its way running over a spike strip real quickly. Fasten your seatbelts.
Yes, sir. She'll kind of like put the crutches in like before she closes the door.
Yeah, Jacob would offer to put them in the boot if that's what she wants.
She wouldn't mind either way.
I'm trying to judge how this vehicle already has a lot in it, so it'd probably be best for it to be in the boot, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
And it will certainly hamper her ability to play shenanigans and get out of the vehicle when she's told not to.
I mean, it's not like she
Exploitation.
can't work on herself. It's just that she can't walk very fast by herself. Or very far.
Yeah, and the car will ease out of the garage, and begin slowly pulling out onto the road. They'll begin their little ride along. Presumably they engage in small talk and more questions as the morning progresses. There's a cup holder. You can drink coffee.
Yay. She actually, I don't know how much attention Jacob is giving her while like driving and being on the job. She has a cup of coffee that she takes a sip from time to time, but if we would take a close eye, she could see that the cup basically just stays full until it's fully cold. Like she maybe drinks like 25% of the actual drink, and mainly uses it to warm her hands. But it's really going to depend on how perceptive Jacob is. You can decide that for yourself. I'm not going to make you roll
too much
for it.
mind. It's not like the never-ending cup of coffee. She drinks a quarter of it, and then it goes a bit cold, and then she stops.
Yeah.
And she's drinking it, not pouring it all over her hands to keep her hands warm.
I mean, in the end, that just either results in, God damn it, sorry, yeah, in a trip to the hospital, or very cold hands, because when your hands are wet, they cool off as well. Well, maybe not in this weather, especially not with the way that she is dressed. But like, she's almost dressed to go on like a ski vacation or something like that. Um, but it's summer. And actually, she will turn on, like, that's the one thing that she will do pretty soon, is that she will turn on the heat in the car
In the middle of summer.
in the middle of summer. Yeah. She also doesn't take her jacket off, or
What
like her
the?
scarf. Or
Do you have any ideas how many layers I'm wearing? Do you have any idea how many layers you're wearing?
I mean, are you saying that, or?
Yeah. This is you appreciate the heat being turned up in the middle of summer. It is 33 degrees outside, Adam. It is quite, I believe it is quite warm enough.
Oh, of course. Um, she'll turn it down. Just like hopes to have him not notice that she's keeping it on just a little.
I'm gonna roll for that.
uh, like, do you want me to roll something against that?
That'd be like larceny to keep like the heating on. I don't actually know what it is.
Well, I don't mind rolling larceny. I got larceny.
I
Not a
don't
whole
actually know
lot of
what the
it.
roll is, so it's your choice, I guess. I guess it would be closer to stealth.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, it would be like unnoticed. It's not like some
Yeah,
form of
that's
thievery or breaking security. It's
oh
more like
crap.
hiding something.
I do have larceny. I do not have stealth.
Oh,
I have
that's
subterfuge.
all planned.
Yeah, I'll just roll stealth and add a +2 difficulty, one from her
It's
flaw
just
and
plus
one
one.
from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say
So let me roll my dex larceny, difficulty 8. Wow! Oh!
it is the most noticeable attempt to keep the heating on Jacob has ever witnessed.
Yeah,
Ah,
actually, he can even hear her teeth kind of clattering at some point, like.
are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Just cold. It's been a chilly summer, and I just respond to it badly. I will definitely roll myself to feature that.
I Jacob has the temperature on the little like the computerized board of his car.
Yeah, yeah.
Jacob will just go. It's like
Only one success to lie
33
about
degrees
that. God
outside.
damn
It's
it!
been boiling.
Like I said, it's been going like, and is obviously a fucking lie. It's just been with like this weird summer, getting hot, getting cold, hot, cold. It's just, yeah. Um, for some reason, my my body just doesn't really respond well to it. It just shuts down. It's I don't know. Doctors kind of gave it a name, but I forgot.
Jacob hesitates when she says he 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 almost repeats, gave it a name and you forgot, huh? Huh? But he doesn't. Okay.
That yeah, I can. Don't worry. It's not like it's gonna kill me.
I was gonna say we're in a if it's gonna kill you then I don't want to put your life at risk or anything.
No,
But
don't worry.
at a point where I actually have consistently have a lot of layers on, so it's the reason I have a canine is not to risk dehydration.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm sorry. I
It's no problem.
Yeah, she'll huddle up more closely in her jacket, and Just tries to stay warm for herself.
Yeah, so what is this condition? What the you see someone just blitz plaster red.
She will follow his look, like, ah.
Well, someone is grade A fucked. And blinky lights turn on.
And yeah, that'll like get a smile back on her face again as she is kind of holding on to like the armrest, and yeah, it's exciting look in her eyes as she watches the car that they're chasing, and yeah.
Saved by a speeding vehicle. Yeah, it goes across. It's not super fast. It's going around 60, 70. So it is smashing that speed limit. But it's not driving at 100 plus. The car does pull over after it realizes, the driver seems to realize, oh, there is a police car behind me. Fuck. Yeah, and you just hear the sirens going wee woo wee woo wee woo wee woo wee woo.
The wee woo noises.
And
Yeah.
when he pulls over, when the car pulls over, you see he waits for the driver to cut the engine, and then he cuts his own.
Yep. And
And he just
Darcy.
says to Darcy, "I'll be back in a little bit."
Sure. Yeah. She'll stay in the car. She won't even like turn down off or take off her seatbelt. She will roll the window down.
You see his hand just kind of taps the back of the vehicle. Do you have any investigation?
Let me check. Let me check. Do I have investigation? I do.
You can roll that. See what he's trying to do when he does that.
Int, perception, wits.
Probably intelligence investigation.
Okay.
Because you can perceive this. There's nothing hidden that you're trying to spot. Okay, one success. That's all you need. Basically comes down to if he is assaulted or shot, his fingerprints are now on this vehicle.
Okay.
I should be noted that before he leaves, he does quickly note it on the radio, his police service number, stopping for traffic.
Yep.
Then he walks on over. You see the dude roll down his window. The guy was going fast, but the car doesn't look like it was designed to go fast. It looks pretty beat up. He literally rolls the windows down. It is an old as fuck car.
Yep. Darcy will just look at it with interest, and like I said, she has the window rolled open because, despite the fact that means that it's probably more wind coming in that might make her cold. It's also.
You just hear Jacob go,
Yeah.
"Good morning, sir. I'm Sergeant Jacob Clay of the New York City Police. I'll need your..." Crap, I need to get his bloody things. This vehicle registry, your insurance, and your date of birth, sir. And your license. Yeah, he'll just know his date of birth, his license. God damn it. I fucked that up. I'm not professional. I suck. OC, I'm sadness. You'll need the vehicle registry, your license, and your proof of insurance, please, sir. You hear the guy just fucking moan his ass off. He just sighs. He feels defeated and annoyed. He almost comes across as if this is not the first time he's been stopped by a police officer. All right, Mr. Mr. Byron, would you mind telling me what you were doing traveling twice the speed limit down this this tightly packed city street? And the guy makes up some bullshit. He has an urgent appointment. It's an emergency. And then Jacob asks what that emergency is. And he makes up some bullshit about his daughter being injured at school. Then Jacob asks what that school is. Then he gives him a name. And then Jacob happily points out that the school is in the opposite direction as to the direction he was heading in. And then you see Jacob grill him for a little bit. Jacob feels a little bit insulted. He was just bullshitted.
Like, how dare.
Yeah, basically. And says, I could get you a speeding 30 plus, reckless driving, and reckless endangerment, sir. You come clean, I'll keep it to reckless driving. You bullshit me again, you're getting a full fine. It eases the suspect's chin a little bit. Comes clean. He doesn't really want to risk his license over this. He doesn't seem keen to take responsibility, but he feels like it's perhaps, yeah, kind of like grudgingly, like it's in his best interests, but it's when someone acts in their best interests, but they're still losing something. So he's obviously kind of mumbling and grumbling a little bit. All right, sir. I just need you to fill in this summons. It is not an admission of guilt. It is just an agreement to pay the fine and show up to court if you're called to do so. And it's signed. And Jacob tears it off. He says, this copy is for you. Please hold on to it, sir. Have a nice day. And the suspect in question wishes him a nice day.
Darcy can't resist. She'll just kind of, she's not putting her head out of the window, but she's just kind of like half hanging out of the car. She's just like, you've been served.
She just say he's been served?
Oh yeah.
In the car, madam.
She'll roll the window back up.
Perhaps I should leave your ass on the side of the road.
Well, as long as you get my crutches out of the back, I'm fine.
Uh-huh. You keep that shit up, and that's a surefire ticket on the way to obstruction. You know what that is?
Come on. It was just a joke. I mean, this is supposed to be fun, right? That's why you're bringing me along.
It is supposed to be fun. At the same time, I have a responsibility. I know if they end up in a dangerous situation, I'm responsible for you.
This wasn't a dangerous situation.
Well, considering we traveled 20 miles per hour faster than that guy to catch up to him.
considering the fact that we were standing still and you already did all your things and the situation was already resolved. This was not a dangerous situation.
Yep, we'll say that to the next speeding victim who decides to get out and have a confrontation. It wouldn't be my first time.
Well, then I wouldn't have said it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a joke. Live a
Remember the
little.
rules I gave you before we started this? They're
Fine,
there for a
fine.
reason.
Yes, officer, yes.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. Those are the rules. I have to uphold those rules.
Of course.
And I'm on the job. If I was off the job, it would be a bit different. But I am on the job, which means I enforce those rules to the utmost extent that I legally can.
Yes, sir. I feel salute.
Glad to hear it, madam. He'll salute you.
Can you at least call me Darcy?
Darcy. He literally sighs.
Thank you, officer.
Wait, I have to call you Darcy? But I'm actually, no, this is... Actually, no, that... Wait, he wouldn't actually say that because that is fitting. You are extremely fortunate you are not with my supervisor right now. He'd be running your ass in so hard, the precinct.
Well, you know. Just trying
I
to be
don't.
nice.
Uh-huh.
I will behave.
See? It's not so hard.
That's boring, though. She'll lean back and put like her hands in her.
What was that last part she said?
She said that's boring, though. And she will lean back and put her hands in her pockets and just look out over the road, waiting to see where they're going next.
Jacob is clearly feasting on your anguish. Right.
I mean, you gotta live a little, but I understand, and I will behave from now on. I promise.
It's appreciated.
So, why did you decide to become a cop?
That was always what I wanted to be.
Why?
My dad's a retired cop and my mum's a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Or, as she prefers to say, legal professor. As the word law has an unfair stigma in her mind. I feel she is very much the reason the stigma is earned.
Oh.
She is very good at her job.
Not on the best of terms then with your mom, or?
Pardon?
It sounds like there is something there. You have a problem with your mother, or it's just?
Oh, no, I mean it as a compliment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then I misunderstood.
I love my mum and dad.
I mean, that's cool. My mom's a nag. I mean, she's my mom, and I mean, of course I love her, but oh my god, she can whine and whine and whine and whine and whine.
Yeah, I know how you feel. My mum only deals in civil law. She doesn't like, she didn't like the idea of necessarily having to stand up for someone that was actually guilty, so she never went into criminal law. She made sure to drill all that idealistic peace-loving idealism into my head, and never stopped. And it never stopped. I always have to be home at this time and do that and do this and do my chores and blah blah blah.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Well, told me disciplining needed to be the cop at least.
I
My dad,
guess.
despite being the cop, was probably the most laid-back member of our family.
Yeah.
I mean, if you work in the city, I mean, if you work out in the country, you're probably not going to see too much. But if you're out in the city, you see things. A lot of which is not pleasant.
I mean, I think that depends on where you live. Well, honestly, I didn't really see much stuff until, I got a bit older and got to explore some instead of just, I mean, most of my childhood was. Yeah, no, never mind. Anyway, it was rather boring, I guess. Full of things you had to do.
I mean, no more boring than having to behave, right?
Oh my god. Look into the camera, look right, make sure you always look presentable.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you've gone quiet.
Well, I mean, I wasn't allowed to be quiet. I was allowed to make sure that we had a perfect family because that was good for the viewers. That's what they wanted to see. I learned how to put on lip gloss when I was 3.
Forgive me for being so invasive, but you don't exactly sound satisfied with that.
I mean, when I was young, it was fun dressing up. It was like a game. Then I got older and I didn't always wanted to wear what my mother picked for me or wanted to wear fake teeth or curl my hair or do all those things. And then it became tedious and annoying. And looking back on it, it became, well, I mean, I guess it would be rude to say tyrannical, but yeah. There was a reason why I moved to New York when I was going to high school. I mean, my dad was just more relaxed, at least when it came to those things.
Well, I'm sorry to hear. I
Nah,
would say
I
more,
mean,
but I'm pretty far removed from your situation.
as
Don't
I
want to
am
presume
from
where I don't
yours.
have any understanding.
Mhm. I think everybody goes through their own stuff and their own things, and you know, I'm pretty happy with how I turned out. So in the end, I guess everything was well, at least ended right. But yeah, now with my mom being here, all of a sudden it's just actually this feels like vacation, even with me having to obey all your rules.
Now that you definitely sound upset by, but that's okay.
If it were up to my mom, she would be sleeping in the same bed as I am.
Yeah, well, she's certainly not getting her ass in this car unless it's in the back. In which
Now
case,
that I would like to see.
she'd be sleeping in a very different place than you.
I mean, in the end, I know she just tries to, do good and do the right thing and help me out. But why does it always have to be so, you know?
That's an interesting way of putting it.
I'm sure everybody has that with their parents sometime. So, yeah. So, do you have like a family? I mean, you seem pretty young, but
Yeah, I'm pretty young for a sergeant. I mean, pretty
yeah.
young to be a police officer, to be completely honest.
How old are you, if I'm not like intrusive?
21, soon to be 22.
Yeah, that is a bit young, but hey, I never expected to get married at 18.
I like to think myself as the rising star of Manhattan's favorite precinct.
Wow, that I'd say you certainly don't lack self-confidence.
Yeah, can't afford to in this job anyway.
I guess. I'm just,
I
I
mean,
don't
you
know.
lapse for a single second. Well, actually,
Well,
no, I'm putting it the wrong way. You can doubt yourself, you just can't afford to hesitate in your actions. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have to doubt yourself, because I doubt myself all the time. Pretty much everyone does. It's just a case of, well, I have a call to make. I have to make that call. And I mean, you saw me just round that red light just now. He says
mhm.
as he's driving along. We're actually quite a distance away from at this point. um, I had to make the calls to ever engage in that chase. Maybe put more lives at risk or not, and just light him off with that one. As at the end of the day, he's only speeding. I made the call, and I mean that was a pretty minor call, but you get more and more involved in the business of the police, and you have to make more and more calls.
I can imagine. Like, is your family afraid, like, that you end up in the wrong situation?
I mean, they were, but not so much anymore.
Hmm.
I've been in my fair share of rough and tumble situations. There came a point when they came to accept me for who I am. At least my mum did. My mum was opposed, but not like hateful about it or anything, just scared.
About you becoming a police officer.
Hmm?
About you becoming a police officer, you mean?
I think they already said that because it's always what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Not just that runs in the family, but
No, no, I mean, was she scared about you
oh, sorry.
going after your, well, dream or following your father's footsteps into the, to the force?
Yeah, she was a little bit shaken up about it.
Hmm. I think Darcy's going to be that just to, see if he isn't accidentally talking about something else because she has a suspicion. Like, it's not big enough to actually go directly into it, but she has this little suspicion about him maybe being
Okay.
a bit more than he's letting on, and she's trying to determine if that answer was like, yeah, my mom was also a bit worried about me being a werewolf or something like that. That's kind of what she's trying to find out if he meant anything more with it. So peony, 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 peony. Yeah.
Oh, you're silly social dice, you.
I mean, I don't have that many social dice.
Lies and deceit.
You have 2 successes on that.
Uh, Surprisingly, he actually seems to be talking about the police force doesn't actually seem to be a lot of double talk to what he's saying. He seems to be so. He's actually really focused on talking about his time with the police.
No, that's
He's
cool.
as from an OC standpoint, he's actually not talking about being a Philodox at all.
Yeah. No, it's just that she was kind of like she has a suspicion mostly about Simon, but Jacob was with Simon, so she's like trying to determine what is if maybe he means something else with it, but if he doesn't, that's
Oh
totally
yeah,
fine.
you would have noticed that the driver was fucking terrified of him. That's what you would have noticed. You would have noticed that the
Hmm.
driver was scared of him. Like in a way that's he's a police officer, so
I
he is a
mean,
bit,
could be.
but he was also a bit like, ah shit, ah, you know, he bullshitted to
Hmm.
him, but he was flagrantly trying to find an excuse to get away from him.
Yeah.
Um, like in a way that seemed more kind of desperate than anything else. You know, not something that you get so up in arms about regarding a fine, unless the guy's
Yeah.
just an asshole. But you know,
I mean, let's for now she's not gonna comment on that, but maybe later on, maybe. Hmm.
yeah, it's been quite a shift to be honest. Only one stop so far.
Yeah, it's quiet. I mean, I
Oh,
don't know how busy it usually is.
a lot of people completely fail to signal at junctions or lane changes. It's just so frustrating. So I have to stop them, then I have to give them a fine, waste my time because I have bigger fish to fry, waste their time because all they had to do was press a button on their car to signal a lane change or a turn at a junction.
Yeah. Well, people tend to. I don't know. Not everybody is as self-preserving, I guess, in that way.
I bet when you joyride, you did exactly the same thing. He says that in the almost comically grim voice.
I have drivers.
Apart from that one time you went out for a joyride.
I mean, I was like 14.
I
Of
should
course,
check
I
the
could.
statute of limitations then.
Oh,
You're not sure whether he's joking or not.
yeah. She just looks at him, she's like, she shrugs. Yeah. I mean, they caught us. We paid our fine. We paid a bail. It's fine.
Never so bad. Disconcerting, I say.
Hmm. Why? Because someone wants to have fun and pays a price for that? Like, what do you want me to do? Be in jail for the rest of my life?
No, I'd rather you've not joyrided in the first place, to be fair.
I mean, it was fun. We were young. When you're young, you do stupid things, like joyriding. When you're older, you do other stupid things, because it's fun.
No, adults do it to service an agenda that benefits them.
And that agenda could still be fun.
You think I'm humorless? You should see some of the people the inspectors arrest
God. I
for the white
mean,
collar bullshit.
I'm trying to have as much fun in my life as I can get. That's literally my only goal in life. Like, well, no, that's not entirely true. But it's mostly true. I wouldn't do something if it didn't brought me or people in general like happiness or a smile, or it's important. And yeah, luckily I am in the fortunate position where I can actually bring a lot of smiles, or help out and make people happy or something like that.
That's a noble goal.
I mean, I don't know if it's a noble goal. It's just a goal. Do whatever you can.
But
It's not what you do as well.
my two goals are upholding the law and doing right by others. Sometimes those goals don't always coincide.
Hmm. So, do you have like a lot of friends? I mean, I've met this one guy, that Simon dude. Is he like your friend, or what, like a nephew, or I don't know, brother of your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or whatever?
I met Simon a few months ago. He's a friend of a friend, but I would consider him my friend now.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a few people. He casually names off a couple of his kin. There's Chloe. There's Kai. There's
Actually,
Katje.
I know a Chloe. Huh. I've not seen her for a long time, so I met her once in a bar.
Hmm. Yeah.
Poor girl.
And there's. Yeah.
I mean, she must have gone through some nasty shit.
She has been. We look after each other where we can.
I mean, there are, of course, many Chloes in New York, and I mean, I don't consider the chances we know the same Chloe very high.
He gives the exact description of Chloe.
She is going to manipulation, subterfuge, the shit out of this.
La 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 la.
Hashtag R.
Beep beep. Oh,
No,
that's a good roll.
that's only one success.
Really?
Yeah, I'm at plus one difficulty because pain. So she's like,
Oh.
no, it must be someone else.
Mm-hmm. Jacob doesn't sound convinced. He gave a pretty specific description of Chloe, including her scar. So he feels very confident because of her defining features.
And he very obviously let it know that like he caught the lie.
Oh yeah, he doesn't seem particularly convinced. He's like, uh-huh. He doesn't push the matter, but he clearly doesn't buy what she's saying.
And she kind of squints her eyes at that, lean back, and is like, actually, on second thought, yeah, that is the same Chloe.
Yeah, I'm pretty good friends with Chloe. She
Huh,
tends to get all over the place in the city.
I guess. Like I said, I only met her once, and then she was with a couple of her friends, like not you, but other friends.
Yeah, Chloe's a bit of a socialite in a
She
sense.
was with a guy named Will, guy
Oh.
named mm, what's the name again? Um, A Amos, Aiden.
Oh, Aiden. Aiden. Why was she with Aiden? Hmm.
I mean, it's like a long time ago, like what, half a year or something.
Wait. Are we talking about the same Aiden? Uh, Fuck. What's his last name?
Ah, I don't know.
Aiden Lynch or another Aiden?
He
Because
never
there are a lot
gave
of
his last
Aidens.
name.
Pardon?
He never gave his last name.
Hmm. Yeah, no, there are a lot of Aidens. I know a couple.
I guess. So, how close are you to like Chloe and Simon? Because they seem to be a bit, you know.
No, I don't. He
Like
smirks.
a bit, um, a bit. Well, wouldn't necessarily say scary, but
No, I certainly don't think they're scary.
no,
Why would I?
I don't know.
Well, maybe just had a bad first impression, I guess. I mean, I know both of them to be upstanding people, so
I mean, Chloe was definitely nice. Simon, I've only seen like I usually saw him twice now. Once on the beach, but yeah. Chloe actually, I got really sick that night. Really sick.
oh,
Drank way too much. Uh,
I don't drink.
you really should.
Absolutely not.
Like from time to time, you need to cut loose, man. Else you'll just, I don't know, explode with anger.
Well, no, I'm not penting up. I'm just doing my job. I mean, in
I
regards to
mean,
alcohol, I don't drink on the job, but I generally just don't drink out of it either, just because, sorry, off the job either, just because habit. And I mean, why risk doing something stupid and getting my badge revoked?
because it can be fun.
I like what I have. I don't want to risk losing it. And besides, I find ways to have plenty of fun without drinking myself into a stupor. But that's your gig. It's not my problem. You can do what you want.
I mean,
I'm
I
not trying to
know.
impose my standards on you.
Well, that's a good thing because that will fail anyway.
It depends. Booty House disagrees.
I think a lot of your standards would not fit me very well.
Yes, shame. He says in a joking voice.
I mean, you must have very, very huge standards.
And yeah, I hold myself to a standard. I have to. So,
Hmm.
and even if I didn't have to, doesn't mean I shouldn't. So that does mean I come across as a bit humorless
A bit.
and more fun police than anything else.
Yeah, definitely in the wrong car then. Or maybe in the right one.
It also means I can do my job with much more efficiency, clarity, and overall justness, to be honest. My judgment isn't impeded. And the less my judgment is impeded, the better it is for everyone else.
Yes, that's fair.
I mean, do you think I don't want a drink? Of course I do.
I mean, what's so wrong then with like having a Saturday night when you're off duty and not on backup and you just I mean, especially if you never drink, you don't need that much to get drunk. Unless of course you're like some kind of animal.
As I said, I made a habit out of it already. And
Habits are meant to be broken.
not mine.
That just means that they need to be broken more. What are you afraid of? Of like unleashing the monster inside of you?
There was like just a single blink.
Yeah, there's like a side glance as he says that. She's like, I've been dropping enough hints, god damn it.
Hey, and Jacob's a philodox, and he has to protect the veil. Sad face. Sad face.
That is fair.
Is you get the sads in the chat. See, you got the sads in the chat. There you go.
But she will definitely be a neat blink, like she's
But
keeping
Jacob
very
will
close watch.
simply state, no, I simply enforce law, and that requires me to hold myself to a standard. Doesn't mean everything I do is required of me. It just feels, I just feel like I should make a habit of it for the sake of appearances and doing better for myself and others.
Then you go to a place where you can drink and just let go.
Nah,
Don't
I'm
you
a
have
designated
like
driver.
I mean, then you go to a place where you can stay for the night. Don't you have like a pretty central place?
Why do you want to get me to drink so much?
I don't. I think I think your standards are just wrong. It's not necessarily drinking, but just doing something fun, letting yourself go for once. I mean, I think everybody should do that from time to time. Just get out there, do something, just have fun, relax, just do something that, you know, you don't expect. I mean, I wasn't expecting to drive in a police car. Well, look, here I am now. I think those things are important in one's life. They bring a certain light in your life instead of just your ongoing boring pattern that just keeps repeating day after day after day, basically turning you into some kind of a zombie.
Yeah, well, part of my job involves investigating car crashes on the freeway because someone decided they wanted to have a bit of fun.
Look, there are lots of ways one can have fun, and not all of them need to be like dangerous to society. Just because I was joking about the drinking doesn't mean that I actually like one of my dates that I've done like in the last couple of months were like just go ice skating or going swimming or going to Las Vegas and just have a night out. It doesn't need to include anything bad per se. I'm not asking you to break any rules, but just find ways to relax, find ways to enjoy your life a bit more than just the gray mouse cop who protects the gray mouse people in the gray mouse city. And by the way, no, that was not a hint because I realized how much that sounded like Great White Mouse. It was not a hint.
Blink.
You
And I
know,
do have fun
just
when I can.
what do you do for fun? Okay, you need to think about that for way too long.
I was actually just going through the list of stuff I did. Let's see, I play games. A lot of games, actually. And
See if you can go through the list of things that you cannot tell me.
we cannot tell you? No, as I said, I play a lot of games. Also, actually, go out a lot and, how to put this? I guess that the closest to I guess it can be called nothing less than a tea party.
Tea party.
Yeah, they're
A tea
great. They're
party has
wonderful.
rules.
Yes.
Are you ever doing something without rules, or where rules are not a major part of it?
Yes and no.
Oh boy.
Keep in mind, most things have rules.
I mean, go to a beach in the summer and there are no rules. You can do literally whatever you want.
And the law is still enforced.
I mean, you are a hard nut to crack.
Good. Means I'm doing my job well.
No, it is not to do with your job. It has to do with your person. You're so closed off. You ever let someone in?
I have.
Well,
Well, what? You are aware. Well, you're not. But I am married, you know.
you didn't tell me. Asked if you had family, and all you talked about were your mom and dad.
It's because that's where the top of the conversation went.
I mean, do you love her?
Of course.
Well, I
She actually
mean,
looks pretty mad at that. What do you expect? You seem awfully keen to pry.
I am just trying to get to know you. I'm not trying to pry or anything, but and I was just curious. I was just wondering, like, you didn't really mention your marriage. Like, usually, and no offense, I don't mean to offend you in any kind of way, but usually when you're married to someone, that is your first family member that you speak of, the closest person to your heart. And you completely glossed over it and talked about your parents. It's not weird to ask if you love her. You're talking about it very, very detached. I mean,
Because it is a matter of fact. The question should not need to be asked.
in society as it is, that question, well, actually, that's not true. Even in history, like arranged marriages, but nowadays, like 1 in 3 people getting a divorce, it's not a strange question to ask. It's maybe a bit personal, but then again, I do try to get to know you.
This is still only our second encounter.
Yes, but if I am here in this car with you until the end of your shift, and there is no music, I'm not allowed to interact with anyone else.
I mean,
Then
that would be you. The reason I say that is because you could get arrested for that. That's not me trying to be a dick. That's
no, but
me
that
trying to
does
keep
mean
you out
that
of
you
jail.
are literally the only person that I can talk to, and I'm just, yeah, like I said, I'm here in a car with you for quite a while. So is it that weird that I'm asking you questions? You're more than free to ask questions back. You're just not doing it.
Okay, then, here's a question. Why do you feel the need to get to know me so quickly?
Well, who knows how much time there is still left, you know? Like, the world might be coming to an end soon. Who knows? And maybe I will never speak to you again after today. Plus, yeah, like I said, it's just curiosity. I would probably try to get to know anyone I would be in a car with for like, what, 6 to 8 hours?
You really ran into your natural inverse, huh?
Sorry?
You really ran into your natural inverse today, huh?
Sort of. Yeah, it's actually quite funny.
Hmm. He seems to consider your statement true. Well, hey,
Hmm.
if you do want to meet up after this ride along, I can always give you. Well, you already have my number. I'm
I
always
mean,
down for stuff.
I like making new friends.
I think the one and only time we will ever agree.
There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but you will not stop me from trying to get you a little bit more out of that comfort zone that you nested yourself in.
Ah, that's your mistake, though. You're assuming it's my comfort zone.
Huh? It seems to be.
It's not.
Well, feel free to prove me otherwise. I will happily admit that I'm wrong.
It'd be very easy for me to break any number of rules, many of which I'm supposed to uphold, or just break any of my habits. A lot of them I want to.
Breaking out of someone's habits is one of the most difficult things one can do. You'd be a fool if you would not realize that. It's not called a habit for nothing.
But it's a habit I constructed for myself.
So,
Not because it's easy to maintain, but because it's hard to.
then it's not a habit and it's a ritual.
Then I follow many rituals in contrast to the habits I was talking about earlier.
Even those are difficult to break. Humans' minds, they work in patterns. And the longer you follow a pattern, the more difficult it becomes to literally go a different course.
You'd be surprised.
It's just plain psychology, you know? It's true. It's been proven. It's not a bad thing. It's it's a way of survival, but teach the wrong things and it can be quite devastating.
Not all patterns are good and not all patterns are bad. They just exist. And as you say, there's a time and a place for a bit of chaos. But it is the never ending paradox of chaos to be completely random. Yet, if one is being random, are they making a choice? Can one engage in that sort of absolute creativity while making a choice?
I think it's one of the ultimate goals that you can reach. I mean,
Because I would suggest spontaneity is not a choice, and as such, one can't be free.
I think some of us can push themselves through barriers that surpass the human mind, become bigger than that, and from there on can do amazing things with the world. I mean, look at some of us celebrities, people like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. These were all people, like, they were people who pushed past, they pushed beyond, they became big. They had a goal, they had a dream, and they just achieved it. They got there, and they inspired so many people.
Hmm.
I think, well, I mean, hear me rambling. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm not striving to become like the next Mandela or whatever, but I would like to be able to, do something, achieve something. Doesn't need to be greatness, doesn't need to be worldwide fame or great speeches or anything, but just something. Make someone happy, truly love someone, help people, help friends, help family. My own way, you know?
I understand. I think I am still your opposite.
That's fine.
I guess the only advice I could possibly give is for you to definitively define what you want to accomplish, and then go all in on that. And then you might find that chaos and spontaneity we're both bickering about might just work to your advantage, because now it has a purpose that it's pushing towards. I learned the
Well,
hard way that one person can't do everything. We can only do what we can with what time we have.
yeah, I've I've had to learn that the hard way too. Well, I think up to a point I'm still learning that, learning to deal with that.
Oh, pardon, sorry?
I was just saying that, that is a very real reality and something that we all need to deal with at some point. Some of us sooner than others, and yeah,
I suppose this is the saying goes. It's not how much time you have, it's how you use it.
yeah, that is absolutely true. Maybe that's why I'm pushing so hard to get to know you better. Like I said, we don't know how much time we have left. Any moment could be our last. So if I don't find out today, who says I'll have a chance tomorrow?
Mm. It reminds me.
Hmm.
I was dealing with some rough shit. back when I was in the academy, and I was not dealing it in the best way I could have. The attitude of I alone can fix it, and taking on far too much responsibility than a person can handle and should. Probably the most arrogant thing I've ever done. But my dad saw me like that. And one day he told me that people waste a lot of time. Everyone always wants an extra hour in a day and an extra day in their years. Because if they had all that extra time, they could fix any mistake. Here's the thing. Someone who truly knows who they are and what they want to do, they don't need any of that extra time. The most they could ever need is a few extra seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And if they aren't willing to make the most out of those few extra seconds, then they never deserved them to begin with. So I think I understand where you're coming from.
One little thing, though. I think such a person doesn't need a concept of time. Because time is something that's, in the end, is something that we decided to measure. But time is nothing. We had to start measuring it in order to make it something. So someone wouldn't need seconds. They wouldn't need hours. They wouldn't need days or even centuries. Because time would be no concern. Sorry.
No problem. Lunch is coming up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, park up alongside Central Park. They go to smoothie place, and Jacob gets some donuts. He will offer the donut to Darcy.
No, she will very politely decline. Thank you, but those are bad sugars.
Sorry.
I mean, it's fine if you. It's just that, I have my career to think of, and donuts are not part of the menu for me.
Then what can I get you? Will be on me today.
If they sell like a smoothie somewhere or just, a bowl of fruit, that'll be fine.
Smoothie it is. What flavor?
Strawberry if possible.
And you say I have no fun, and you have all of it, and you're asking for the bowl of fruit.
Like fruit. Fruit is festive. It has many colors.
Mm-hmm.
It is healthy. It is sweet. It's
also quantified by 5 a day.
It's the
It's
most
holds
boring
a
of all
lot of water.
foods.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's one of the most
It's
festive
abs.
ones. You know
No,
what's the most
this.
boring of foods? Potatoes. Just the word itself is boring. Potatoes.
Yeah, but that makes it funny, and therefore
No.
inverses its boringness.
I mean, why would potatoes be more funny than fruit?
Potatoes can be made into more things than apples. They can certainly be cooked in more ways. I know that for a fact. I've been studying cooking.
I disagree on that. I mean, maybe you're right, and you can prepare them differently, but in the end, they still taste stale, boring. Blah. Well, with apples, you can make a multitude of very nice things that are incredible. Apples can be made both sweet or savory if you wish to. And there are many different ways how to eat them.
But does every food, like, not everything needs to shine on the plate. Sometimes something just needs to be complemented by something in the background, like potatoes. Doesn't make it
No,
boring, just makes it different.
it makes it grey. I stand out. Why do I stand out? Because the rest of the world is grey. So I eat an apple
Ah, but
or strawberry.
would you stand out if the world was not grey?
Would there be a need for me to stand out if the world wasn't grey?
Does there need to be a need for you to stand out?
Of course.
I do not have a need for most of my habit. Well, I say habits,
Hmm.
rituals, as you say.
Ah, but would there be? But there is a need for you being a cop. So if everybody
Yes,
kept to the rules, then there wouldn't be any cops necessary.
but the rituals that follow from my career path, by their very nature, are rituals. They're not necessary, yet I still follow them.
Hmm.
Not because I want to either. Not because I need to.
Well, who says that I'm that much different?
I thought you were my inverse.
Hmm. I still follow my own rituals and my own beliefs. Just because I prefer to break through things where you prefer to keep them as static as you can doesn't mean
Oh,
that.
no,
Hmm?
I have no intention of keeping things static. Just getting to where they need to be.
Following the rules, coloring inside the lines. Don't step on the grass. Walk on the path. Wear your shoes. Tidy your nails. Wear a tie to work. All rules.
I don't wear a
All
tie to work. Actually, he does,
social
actually.
behavior that you're trying to maintain, that you're trying to upkeep. That's static.
Many of
The
the
rules
standards
don't
I
change.
uphold, I do not impose on others.
Hmm. You do when they break the rules, when they decide to walk outside of your pathways.
Not mine, someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. The entire civilization is built on a static principle of rules. Some of them date over like what 500 years old, and the only adaptation that there were or that there was to make sure that people would still understand what's being said. The
Are we
Constitution is
having
written how long ago?
Oh, around 200 and oh crap! No, that's the crap. No, see, I can't remember because I
It
know the
doesn't matter. He
Declaration of
names the
Independence.
day. He names the
Jacob's
year.
American, damn it. He knows this. Av
Darcy
Law
would
4, I know when the Constitution was written. Av
Darcy would just
LAW 4, damn it.
Darcy would just raise her hands and is like, there. If that is not static, then I don't know what is.
Are we getting into an argument about the nature of the Constitution, how it should be rewritten, changes made? There have been a lot of amendments to the
No?
Constitution over the years.
Well, sure, but there's still the base principles are still static. I mean, just because you add a nice little rim to your line doesn't change the fact that the line is still the same. Now, I would never disagree on so like most of these rules are pretty useful and help to keep society from going completely chaotic because simply of the nature of human beings. But that doesn't mean that there aren't a ton of rules that might actually be fun to break once in a while. But in
The
the end,
argument. He looks at
sorry,
you.
please go on, officer.
But the argument I suggest is, particularly in regards to the Constitution, yes, while those laws have existed for many a long time, many of those laws exist to reinforce people's freedom to express themselves, not to subvert them or suppress them. Freedom of speech and freedom of press, for example, are the core tenets of the Constitution, and yet they facilitate
I'm not
creativity and
saying
freedom, not
I'm not saying they're
static
necessarily
behavior.
bad, but they're still static rules. They're still boundaries that are set. Doesn't mean the boundaries are bad per se, but operating to maintain those boundaries makes you a static person. And I think that's not necessarily bad. You need to have these people, but they just become grey mouses. At least in my opinion. I mean,
I disagree. Many of those core tenets prevent people, well, prevent the government in particular, not people actually. Those are very significantly different things. But it prevents people from eroding that creativity and freedom you seem to want.
again, I said not all rules are bad, but they're
But they can't
still
be static
boundaries.
by your
Why?
argument then.
I'm not saying static is, well, okay, no. Static as a principle to me is a bad thing. I prefer things fluid, in motion, changing. But I
We're
see
in,
society and I realize that you need certain boundaries, you need certain dams, or everything will flow and it will just become one brown mass. Now, that's not what we want. But in itself, I think a lot of rules are like a lot of things are containing. Like, okay, let's take a different example then. Social rules. Even worse, they're mostly unwritten, which makes them unclear, but still, like even the written ones, like take marriage for example. A man and a woman love each other and go and get married. Now, that simple fact, man, woman, marry, stay together forever and ever and ever until they die, or one of them dies at least. Bound to each other that way, no matter what. It's been for centuries, it's been that way. Even if either of them was abusive or anything else, you stick to your husband, you stick to your wife. That's a given. That has been a given for centuries. Finally, that that static rule of man, woman, ring. Finally, it starts to break. Finally, same-sex marriages are allowed. Finally, people do not automatically look down on open relationships or threesomes or anything like that. It starts to free up a little bit. It creates diversity. It creates a bit of chaos. I don't think a lot of people see anything wrong with that. Of course,
no.
there's a large group that thinks it does, and that group is static. Cannot break from the rules, try to maintain it, try to keep that wall up. Now, me
So
personally, I like the fluidity of the thing. So I don't want that wall up.
and yet you are married.
I am married. And to a guy nonetheless, and just one. That does not mean that I am not open for anything else. I am open for choice. Let people decide for themselves what they want. If you are in a relationship, talk to each other and choose what you want. You know, express yourself, be yourself, feel comfortable in your relationship, whatever that may be.
I see no problem with that.
No, I know you don't. else I probably wouldn't be sitting here anymore. I would be lying on the sidewalk.
No,
But
yeah, probably, yeah, probably,
this is
maybe.
another example where, for centuries, this line has been completely static. You see, once it's broken, that it creates the most beautiful things. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, static in itself, it's not necessarily bad. It keeps the world together.
Hmm.
But I think too many rules, too many regulations, too many lines that you have to follow, they stifle you. They choke you. Makes you dead inside, gray, dull. And I think, honestly, and I'm not sure if it's possible in society as it is now, but in an ideal world, wouldn't need those rules. Everything would just be fluid, emotion. Well, save for the few couple of rules that keep the universe tied together. You need to
Yeah,
have
it always
that.
has to be a bare minimum. But you see, in your example, there is one distinction I'd like to make, because I agree with pretty much all of it. But one thing, there's one thing. See, I wouldn't view that sort of opposition necessarily as static. I would view that example in particular as an example of decay. It is a regressive behavior, not necessarily conservative. Also, it could be argued. It is political, of course. And we're dealing in politico-cosmological discussion, so it's the lines are so incredibly vague that
I guess.
where do we
In the end,
where do we end and where do we begin?
yeah. I mean, in the end, it's just a big philosophical discussion, but it's
It's a Socratic exercise.
it's nice, yes. And it's
That's good to
something
talk about these
different than
things.
me trying to get to know you better, since you obviously are so against that.
Oh, one sec.
Yo.
I don't know. The problem is, when it comes to this sort of thing, you have to define where the lines should be laid, if they should be laid at all. And that is a much more difficult discussion
Yeah,
than any exercise we could ever perform on each other.
I guess.
Well,
It's interesting thing, though. I like to think about these kind of things.
that's good. It's healthy.
I guess.
I mean, I think about it all the time. As you said, I have to enforce law, which means
Do you question law at all? Sometimes. Have you ever seen a law that you just think that's absolutely ridiculous?
that's the thing. I have to enforce the law, and
Mm.
I am obligated to do that. It is literally my duty. That is something I have swore upon. Doesn't mean I agree with all of it.
That's fair.
And if I have an opportunity to change it in a significant fashion, then I will. I can't exactly change the law, but if I were to reach a place of prominence in the police force, for example, I could decide how we would prioritize, for example, what policies we would have towards the public, how a more controversial option, how militarized we want to be, things like that. That can lead to change.
Have you ever been in conflict so badly?
Pardon?
Have you ever been in a conflict so badly that you couldn't perform your duty well enough?
I've been in those situations more than once.
Well, partially I'm happy to hear that, and partially I'm sorry to hear that. That must have been quite awful.
there's a moment of silence as he kind of tries to filter through what he's trying to say, and you can see he's kind of musing over his words as he kind of looks past you, in a sense. Kind of stares into the air. Like, kind of indirectly at you, but, you know, it's kind of like he's kind of staring at your shoulder or something almost.
Yeah, she gives him his time, and she's staring out into the direction of like they're at the border of Central Park, I presume, because you said the museum, right? So she's just looking out into the park, kind of longing.
Because of the nature of who I am and my responsibility, I am often presented with cruel questions with only cruel answers. They are still just, but that obviously means that justice is not always kind and is often cruel. And that is something I've been witness to much in my life. It is not a pleasant experience, but it is ultimately, at the end of the day, as my responsibility, not just as a police officer, but as a person in that situation, as the only person who is able to do this, that no other can. Because there's no one else there, or because I'm the only person qualified to do so, I have the authority to do so. I have to make that call. And it's always heartbreaking.
I'm sure. But
I know I'd make it sound like it's half of the course, like I'm numb to it, but I'm not. I just try to remain even-tempered where I can be. And frankly, I don't want to explode, as you say, in front of you.
I've seen Aiden explode once. Terrible. Someone truly getting angry is quite a terrific sight to see, so I appreciate that. But
Oh, Aiden, you mean with Chloe Aiden?
yeah. Well, if we're talking of the same guy. Could be someone else, of course.
Yeah, no, I know the guy. We don't get along that well. He's a hothead.
I like a bit of passion.
You know what I'm going to say to that, so I won't.
Anyway, what I do think is, you say you keep a distance to it, and I understand that. I think in the end, those situations where you question yourself, your beliefs, your ethical system, I think those are also moments that make you grow as a person. So, despite the fact that I feel sorry because those moments must have been hard, I am sure that those are also the moments that you look back on as points that changed you hopefully into a better person.
They did. There are only 2 instances in my law-abiding life that I regret. But as you say, conflict is the chief means of development as a person. Few things push someone forward quite like conflict. It's, as they say, hard people make soft times. Soft times make soft people, and soft people make hard times. So it is on us to be hard enough to not allow us to become soft enough that we make things worse for everyone else. See it a lot nowadays. Weak people wielding power they aren't fit to handle. Because they're not ready, or because they never deserved it to begin with. And unfortunately, I'm only one man, and cannot solve every instance of white-collar crime in the world. But woe be the day when such a person finds that I am on their trail. He almost says it as if he's referencing a specific individual.
Yeah, she'll just smile, nod.
That's enforcing, Wilson. That's not your thing.
It's a understanding nod, not a agreeing nod. She just kind of like, I guess there's like sitting on a bench or something, and she'll just place her hand on like his shoulder. She says, "Well, you know, despite the fact that you and I are different in a lot of things, I think we're both doing it from the same point of view, same starting point."
Yeah, you're pretty cool, Darcy.
I know.
But don't get carried away, because this club is static as fuck.
Well, I'm chaotic as fuck, so just get used to it.
Yeah, you're a wild girl and all that. So long as it is for something.
If it's not, then it's pointless.
Exactly.
You don't just do things to do things. You do things for a reason. If you don't have a reason, then don't do it. Find a reason to do it. If you can't find a good one, it's not worth doing it. It's a shame we didn't meet sooner. But yeah, it's nice to get to know you,
No problem.
even if it's just for a ride.
Fate's a bitch, but that doesn't mean she can't be conned.
Well, let's hope so.
You're quiet again.
Sorry. She said, let's hope so.
Damn right I will. It's probably the only non-static part about me. Always hated the notion of destiny. People should make what they will with their own two hands. Not rely on some outside force to do it for them.
I think I can relate to that, yeah. We create our own beds, we create our own worlds. Just the higher you climb, the more you can influence the real world with your world. Or maybe just your view of the world.
The most beautiful world made will always be uglier than the one crafted by oneself.
You should have become a philosopher, not a policeman.
If such a vocation was actually employing, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh,
Unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
it is no problem. Unfortunately, it's much like poetry. You can only teach it.
Hmm. There's a level of understanding necessary as well.
True. Well, you still got that half shift left. You want to go?
Yeah.
You get back in the car.
Once again, like walking back and her actually sitting again. She looks pretty relieved to be sitting.
Jacob takes a moment to think on that. He doesn't look at her. And he'll start the car. It's your lucky day. I'm getting a CDS complaint.
What?
Controlled dangerous substances complaint.
Oh,
Basically code for drugs.
yeah, I kind of got that.
Looks like someone's dealing on East 72nd. Looks like we're going to be involved in a bit of a confrontation. The action that you so desire.
Well, I mean, I believe I was told to stay in the car.
Doesn't mean you can't watch.
This is true.
We'll need a witness after all.
Oh, that's why you get like civilians to drive along.
Easy conviction, he says. As you see the blinky lights go on again with the wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. And they'll drive off. And I don't know if you want to continue or not.
Mm. No, if you want to, we can end it.
I'm fine either way.
I mean, it's been going on for a long time.
But I think we'll end it there as Darcy gets to view a street chase, an actual prolonged one this time that involves several police vehicles caging in another car full of methamphetamine. I think we can end it there. Thank you, Per, for playing. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on another episode of Rage Mage.